I am coming back because I want to show all of you, the whole world, I want to show my family, my friends, my children, and my wife that when life throws a curveball at me, I am the type of man that will stand in that batter's box. I will crowd the plate, I will choke up, and I will swing for the fences every single time. Because I will beat this, and I will be back, so you will see me very, very soon.
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and I'm always joined by my buddy Myron.
Back again for another weekly wrestling show that we gear towards wrestling fans and fans of sports entertainment. What's up, folks? How y'all doing tonight?
Depressed.
Everybody loves you, man. It's good to hear. But we're sad. Yes.
Everybody's sad this week.
Depressing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I cued the intro music as we came in. Of course, everybody probably heard and knew that was kind of going to be the first thing we had to talk about. Man, I'll let you start. I'll let you go ahead, Nick, because I want to go and probably going to roll there for a while. So I'll let you start about the whole Roman Reigns issue.
You know, Roman Reigns, probably a guy who has taken more shit for being good at his job than anybody on the face of this earth, came out and pretty much teared everybody up. He has leukemia. I did not know he had leukemia in the past. Apparently he had it 11 years ago, and it's came back. And he is going to have to undergo treatment, and he relinquished the title. And this is serious, and I don't think the wrestling world really can handle it because we're so used to irony and bullshit and works that we didn't know how to take when somebody comes out and actually says, "Hi, my name is Joe and I have cancer." Really kind of hit hard because I was watching it honestly, I was expecting a turn or a joke or something to come out, and it didn't. And the farther it went, I got really, I got really sad. I'll be honest with you, because it's a tough thing to handle. I've lost friends to cancer. We've lost friends to the show to cancer. I think you have lost more than most people.
I mean, even, you know, friends of the show. I mean, we're going to a memorial show Thanksgiving night because of Charles Anschultz from Southern Fried Wrestling, who kind of he was like one of the first ones to open his doors to us.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cancer sucks. I mean, that's truth be told. That's, you know, like you said,
puts it in a whole new frame. You know, okay, it's wrestling, and then all of a sudden that's real life.
Yeah, music cues. You know, he comes down and the crowd. You know, if nothing else, I will tell you this. Just when you thought, I mean, because you know us, man, from week to week, there's sometimes that the wrestling fans and the wrestling crowd sometimes can completely disappoint you in their behavior. This week, if nothing else, I was extremely happy that the fans were respectful at that moment. That once they realized, what the fuck, you know, once they realized what was going on, they kind of got, you know, there's a part of me that's like, you know, wanted to give a big middle finger to the hypocrites who have been, you know, whatever for months. But that ain't the time, that ain't the place. And that was just kind of like, you know, I'm just glad they're being respectful at that moment.
Yeah, it is. Everybody kind of got real serious about it. I have not seen, well, let's filter that. I have not seen anybody going out and saying something hateful or disgusting. And I'm not sure, but I may have gone and seen somebody doing something hateful and disgusting.
I don't know if hateful's the word. I think I know what you're talking about, but disgusting is a correct word for it, yes.
Yeah. You know, you would expect some of the trolls to be like, well, he fucking deserved it, or, at least he's not going to be in the main event slot anymore. Well, thank God Roman's gone. I expected to see some of that, and I didn't. What I didn't expect to see that turned my stomach is, and I can't guarantee it, but I've seen a few things that definitely look like people trying to profiteer from Roman's situation. And I see people selling shirts that look like it was photoshopped, a picture of Roman holding a shirt, or trying to make limited edition shirts. Now, I know cancer isn't licensed, okay? The WWE can't say, okay, you can't have, you just can't have a Roman Reigns shirt. But the WWE don't have a license on cancer. Cancer sucks.
The problem is he was holding it was a Roman Reigns shirt.
There were pictures of Roman Reigns and a Roman Reigns type shirt that either said fuck cancer or it had something other anti-cancer thing on there. And is this just somebody, trying to make a profit off someone having cancer?
Yeah, that's the low of the low. And the sad part is you got that side of the fence, but then we come all the way to the other side of the fence. Kenny, I don't know if you saw this, but like Kenny Omega, Ring of Honor, even,
Japan.
Tama Tonga, he even messaged, some.
Yeah, and he's like the biggest jackass.
He's the biggest heel they have right now. So,
yeah.
So kudos. Those guys. Now, of course, there's that family connection there, supposedly.
Yeah.
You know how it is with me. But yeah, just all over the world, everybody showing the love for Roman. And, it was kind of cool. And it's really like, I know what you're saying. There was this moment where we're like, you're still waiting.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, this sucks. But there's this wrestling fan in you that's like, we're just so programmed that nothing's off limits. Vince will make anything into an angle. So you're sitting there going like, okay, I got it. I'm still got this 1% of me that's worried that this is a work. And I was just like, oh my God, he wouldn't do this. He wouldn't go this far, would he? And you're like, he wanted to do an incest angle with his daughter and his son at one point from supposedly, if you believe the story.
Vince, nothing's off limits for Vince.
Oh, but glad, I'm not, here's the worst part. I don't want to say like I'm glad it's not, but, cause it would have been, I'd have been mad that he used an angle, but Roman Reigns wouldn't have cancer. So, I'd probably be happier.
It's not like they, they dropped something on the limo or the limo blew up and Vince is dead, but they reversed it quickly because no, it's a situation where you can't get out of this. And if this is a work, this is more damaging than anything they could have done with Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah, and we're going to get there. Yeah.
It's one of the worst things I've seen. It's one of the most heartfelt things I've ever seen in wrestling. Yeah. I appreciate the fact that wrestling fans have been so good about this.
Yeah. And one of the cool things, I don't know if you saw this tweet, it was, because the reality hits me, is when Seth and Dean walk out, and you see Seth, then it's like, oh shit, this is real. Because you could see real emotion, real, and it was, they start hugging, and that moment I'm like, oh yeah, this is like legit. This is not, fake. And the craziest thing of it all was like, I put that out there because my wife in a passing comment says, it's nice to see somebody who kids look up to as a superhero being an example, showing that you can cry and they can be show emotion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And kudos to wrestling Twitter, by the way, because I will say this. There are many, 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 many days in the last couple years I have completely and utterly been disappointed in the wrestling Twitter for a lot of bad reasons. But that tweet had more retweets than I think anything we've ever put on our feed.
That's great.
That makes me feel better sometimes. It's like that makes me feel better.
Well, the wrestling Twitter still can tend to be a horrible place, but I'm glad they showed their true colors this time. It was good to see people rallying around the cause.
Yeah. So it's and it's one of those few moments. There's not many, but that it really like tore me to pieces there for a while. It took me everybody was like, I tweeted God knows how much longer. It was because it took me that long to kind of wrap my head around it. We've had the conversation, obviously, lost my mom to cancer. Dad's fighting cancer now. You know, so it's like, it's so close to home and everybody's just completely like, it's bad. I mean, it's, you know, it's a mess.
You know, one of my best friends had leukemia and she beat it, but it was tough and it took its toll. And I really hope that he can, my first hope is he survives this. I don't put a lot of expectations for him to be able to come back, but since he is an amazing physical specimen, maybe he will be able to come back. But I'm really just hoping that he makes it. And I put beside me all the crazy wrestling, blah, 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 fanfare and stuff. This is a human being. And this is a human being who's sick and someone who needs our respect right now.
Right. I mean, that's just it. This isn't about work rate. This ain't about, you know, getting over, you know, blah, blah, blah. This is literally, we just hope he survives. And then after that, if he survives, which we hope he does, you know, then you start saying like, hey, I hope he's back in the business. Then if he's back in the business.
Smart on this one.
Yeah. Eventually it's like, hey, get back in the business. Then it's, can he get back in the ring? Can he become, you know, baby steps. I mean, it's, you know, but
steps.
Yeah. But you know, that's, so anyway.
Toughest wrestling promo you ever watched?
Could be. I don't know that have we ever seen anybody stand in the ring and basically say that their life is threatened, that they may die?
I think the closest thing in sports was Lou Gehrig's speech. You know, when he retired.
Walter Payton, when he was dying. Yeah. I mean, but that he wasn't playing it, that, you know, but that's a different story. But yeah, that was, you know, those kind of moments. But
an athlete at the height of his career. I mean, at the amazing things they've done with Roman and for Roman, to come out and say that, and it was just so huge.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, much love, much respect, but you know, a lot of well wishes out there to him. So let's I don't know that you can transition, and so we're just
kind of, you know, if you come back and you're healthy, we can still talk shit about you. It's wrestling.
Well, hopefully,
love you, Roman.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like to get to the point where people can talk shit about you again, because that's the best thing that could happen.
Yeah.
You'll be healthy and alive, because people are not going to do anything bad if you're dead. So you've got to. I mean, seriously, this guy's a great athlete. He's been a great champion. He's represented the WWE successfully for quite some time. So, more power to you.
Yeah. Well, let's move on, and you know, like I said, can't really segue out of it good. So let's just talk about the next thing that happened. You know, we don't do recap shows, but this was a pretty pivotal Raw, in my opinion, and we're going to kind of wrap it up pretty quick. But the big one that everybody's talking about, the backlash of it. So we finally get the Dean Ambrose turn at the end of the tag match where they defeat. It was just weird. They defeat McIntyre and Ziggler. They take the titles.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to get the team that hates each other or the champions.
That was weird to phrase, to put the turn after a belt win, because I don't know what they're going to do now. And everybody's like, what are they going to do now? Roman's got cancer. What are they going to do with the tag team belts? What are they going to do? Are the shields gone? The shield split, shield fragmented. It's a weird situation. Yeah. And they actually, it was the perfect time for it, because if you want to lighten and get people's hearts up after having to realize Roman had cancer, it's the perfect time to do a heel turn like that.
That's what I was going to ask you. A lot of people were just, the backlash was just like, oh, I can't believe they had to, you know, it's so tacky, it's so to do this. Look, wrestling's just best when it's pure raw emotion. Yeah. And the show must go on, and it's hard to say that at times. But it just does. I mean, the company's still going to have a show. They're still going to, you know, unfortunately, to me, I look at it this way. They gave Roman Reigns an opportunity to walk out there and say it. They could have just said and moved on with nothing, right?
Yeah.
So Dean does the turn. Everybody's complaining about it. I'm like, dude, it's perfect. He got booed out of the building because everybody.
I mean, it's the rawest night for a heel turn. So the heel turn had twice as much gravitas. It meant twice anything it possibly could if he'd have turned any other night. Okay, it was the perfect shot, the perfect time. When you want to make him hate it, you want to make a guy a heel, you turn him with the peak of babyface. And when your teammate gets cancer, He can't
he
get
came
any more
out there in
babyface.
support of his friend on
Yes, and then turned.
Yeah, and then turned on your
Raw.
other friend. Exactly.
Yeah, you can't get any rawer than that.
I wanted to ask you something about Raw, and this is weird. In the matter of a few hours, because after the promo, you had about 2.5 hours and stuff left. They basically, their top guy's gone.
Yeah.
Brock's never there. I mean, we'll get to him later and some other stuff, but they basically had to reshuffle the deck out of just sheer necessity. Mm-hmm. And I think I said this to you when I said, did they possibly do some of their best work with their back against the wall?
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. People have been screaming for Braun Strowman and Elias to be babyfaces. Yep. They are now babyfaces. They turned Dean Ambrose heel, and you got a blood feud literally between these two going on now. This is going to be brutal.
Is the hottest feud ever.
And
yeah, I mean, it's blood. Yeah, it's a blood feud. It's personal.
And then
that's never happened before.
It's going to be it's going to be one of the best feuds probably in a long, long time because it's going to be personal. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be so much emotion tapped to it. So you're going to have Braun as a babyface who the fans are going to go right back to loving. Elias, they pop like crazy when he crushed the guitar over the back of Baron Corbin. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And then they elevated in one night Drew McIntyre's back in the top because he's clearly going to be the next, foe for Braun Strowman.
Yes, definitely. That the whole come out there and it's the Claymore kick he dropped on him. Mm-hmm. Dang, it was impressive.
And he looks legit, like he could hold his own with him.
Yes, I agree 100%.
And so, to me, I told people, I know the viewership was up, which had nothing. People didn't know what they were getting, but Raw was up a little. It was up to about a little over 2.5 million, up about 6%, give or take. By the way, the football game wasn't as good. The Falcons were playing, so it clearly says the game wasn't as good. So my statement was going to be that if you watched Raw and you was it great, like beginning to end? No, there were spots in there that had some stuff clearly. But for a Raw,
so 3-hour show
for 3 hours, beginning to end, they did some really good work that needed to be done to fix their roster issues with the top guy going out.
And they also had a pay-per-view. It was a go-home show for a pay-per-view too.
For Evolution.
So they had to do a go-home show for the women, but still fix all their problems. And I think they did a very responsible job and a respectable job with the whole thing.
And by the way, the Evolution show, pretty solid. The little special they did afterwards. We need these before every pay-per-view. Mm. It did a really good job of recapping it heading into the show. I would take this over the kickoff show any day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I look forward to that.
Yeah. Hopefully this becomes a trend and they can put these packages together and start using them. But, it's going to be repackaged?
What's that?
Apparently SmackDown Live, when it moves to Fox, is going to look a little bit different.
Yeah. It's going to be more sports, less entertainment.
What is your thought? Because apparently Fox comes out and says that they do want it to be more. Because I don't know if you know their lineup. It's going to be Thursday night NFL, Friday night SmackDown, college footballs on Saturday nights, and then NFL again on Sunday nights. So,
that's a horrible place to be bookended to.
No, but that's the whole thing. They want to become like the sports channel. That's kind of
but if you're the sports channel, you're doing that, and you don't live up to what they're expecting, you're going to look like dog shit.
Well, they want more sports. My question is do they want Ring of Honor? Do they want New Japan, but they want it on a larger scale?
It looks like they're wanting like MMA New Japan with a WWE production value, and I don't know if they're going to get that because WWE has been writing storylines, and storylines are why people pay attention. You look at the whole Conor McGregor thing. That's all a great wrestling storyline. The whole thing, the insulting your religion, fighting back and forth. You jump out, get the coach, somebody jumps in, gets that guy. Solidly booked angle if it was a wrestling angle. And they did a lot of money with that, and they're going to do a lot of money with the return show. Do they want that? Can WB write that? Because it's a written product.
Well, yeah, it's a TV show, right?
It's an entertainment show. Can they make it more sportsy? Bring in Daniel Cormier as a commentator? They have the ability to do this, but are they willing to change their core product so much, Nick?
I'll give you a billion reasons why they would.
Yeah, but they bought the product, okay? It'd be like me going to the grocery store and buying ham and then say, I want that to be steak.
I don't know. I mean, I disagree. I think it's kind of going, hey, we want this, we went and bought this steak, but when you go to cook it tonight, I want it to be marinated in this, or I want it to be, I think that's kind of I think that's more of an analogy.
Okay.
Because I don't think they want.
You want the thing, but you want it to be the way you want it presented.
Yeah. I think
you want it to be on a plate with a double stuffed baked potato instead of like with a slice of cheese and a piece of loaf bread.
You said double stuff.
Yeah. Double stuffed baked potatoes are awesome.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems with this low carb diet is side dishes. But Melissa's really been hitting out of the park. I got to give her kudos this. Hey, honey, thank you for that thing you made with cauliflower and cheese. It was delicious. But on to a lighter note. I love the fact that the WWE is going to get this big of exposure. I love the fact that Fox really wants to get in and be active in the content. I don't know if it's going to be a situation where, is it going to be the kind of thing where it's like TBS, and no blood and can't go over the top rope or whatever?
No. They know, but they don't do blood anyway, really.
No, they don't do blood, but occasionally there is blood.
But they don't do it on SmackDown a whole lot. It's pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Typically.
You're right.
It's blood happens on TV by mistake a lot of times, but
yeah.
But
I hope it works out. I really hope this works out. That's my thing. I don't want this to ruin it. I hope the amount of money coming in is a positive thing and not a negative.
Well, I mean, I always joke and say, like, look, they're going to try to be New Japan, or they're going to try to be more sports-like because everybody says that's what they want. But then everybody's going to push back. Everybody's going to push back and go, well, they're just trying to be like New Japan.
Yeah, I like the spectacle. I mean, if I wanted to watch New Japan, I'd watch New Japan. That's my take on it. I don't have anything against New Japan. More power to you. If you like New Japan, enjoy New Japan, but it's not my thing. So.
Yeah, there's always controversy, right? There's always controversy.
Yeah, it's frickin' wrestling, for Christ's sakes. I mean, what are you going to get? Well, nobody's going to be happy with it.
No. Well, the thing that a lot of people aren't happy with right now is, okay, what the hell is going to happen with Crown Jewel at this point?
Ooh, it's up in the air. And, we've stayed away a lot of this because it's political and we don't go into politics, but it's a tough situation. Apparently there is a report coming out from the Turkish government tomorrow. The time you're listening to it will be today. The show will drop at noon. They might have heard now because I'm horrible with time zones and things like that. But we may know something about what happened. Or there might be extraditions, or there might be other things done with this whole thing. And they're going to decide tomorrow where they're going to put the show, and they haven't let the Saudis start selling tickets yet. To me, that's the biggest indicator. If nobody's been able to sell tickets for this thing yet, they can still put it anywhere they want to. It's just going to depend. Are you willing to cut off all that future income to do what other people think is right? Because, they clearly, it's not a case of what the WWE thinks is right. If the WWE was concerned about what was right or wrong, we wouldn't get wrestling 9 times out of 10. Okay? Well, they do what's best for the WWE, and that's just the way it is.
Because, business and morals don't always mix very well.
No, they're poor bedfellows because you can't make money off morals, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. It's a lot of times that's an issue. I agree with you 100%. This is really just going to boil down. It's going to be, I think, a last minute decision. I think I've joked with you. I think the thing ends up in England somewhere.
Very much a possibility that it winds up in England.
If anybody can sell a fucking building out in like a couple of days, it's England.
They're huge in England. Okay. And it's a good place as far as the decisions for ticket sales. If they make the decision under duress and feel forced into doing it, I don't think it makes that big a difference. you can't force your morals, you can't force justice down somebody's throat, and you can't, even if you money it to them, it still is not, they're not going to take it seriously. If you want a better WB, you gotta go about it a different way. But when is the last time you saw stars defying Vince McMahon like the rumors we've heard?
You're talking about John Cena and Daniel Bryan, right?
That is what I have heard, and they reportedly are defying the will of Vincent K. McMahon.
Well,
I mean, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know that I buy it until I see like a public statement, but I guess John's not going to probably make a public statement, but.
No, but John has more on the line than anybody else here.
Oh, because it's image.
Because John is image, and John has a career outside of wrestling. John is a wholesome person, and if he gets tagged with something like negative like this.
I always think Daniel's probably doing it because his chi would be bad. Like it would mess up his vibe or something.
I love him. I love Daniel for that, but it's a tough situation. How much money are you going to turn down?
Well, that's
look at it. Shawn Michaels is coming back based on the money he was offered.
He was offered that. Now the numbers I'm hearing are $2 million.
$2 million
to wrestle the
Where's
freaking
that money
tag
going to
match.
come from? Are you really thinking he's going to come back and work a tag match for not $2 million? Because they're going to have to pay him if they're going to want him to work the show.
The crazy thing, the only guys they have to pay for big contracts, you do realize that, right? I was thinking about that. The only guys that are that you could move it to a small venue, but you're going to have to follow up with Brock, with Taker, and with Shawn.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you would be okay.
Everybody else is like strictly
just contracted. Hey, dude, you're on a contracted schedule. Exactly.
Yeah. That's the tough part. I mean, these guys, you gotta come back in with all that millions to make the show work. Is it worth that? Or do you have a show without? You've built this up. Do you have a show without Shawn?
Oh, you can't. That's the problem. You're going to have to pay those three just to make this card happen, no matter if you pull out or not.
So not only are you going to lose money from the Saudi deal, you're going to lose money over the fact that you just can't, you don't have the money coming in to pay these guys.
Yeah. Now, I'm also going to flip the coin here, and I get it because we don't talk politics because and that's the hard part for some people to separate. Until something's official, I know things the optics look bad. Vince has a contract with these people, and everybody's like, well, contracts don't make it right. Okay, we just specified that morals and business decisions don't always work best.
Well, contracts, no morals of all in contracts. You sign that you're going to do something not knowing. Do you have a rider for in case the Saudi government does something horribly shitty in the world scene? I mean, because that's what it's going to have to take. They're not going to forgive you or like say, okay, it's okay. Bye, Vince.
Best case scenario for Vince to get out of it is if our government says no one can go there.
Well, he's got somebody on the cabinet.
But you see what I'm saying? That's literally, I think that's what it's going to take.
Well, that's the problem right now because apparently Trump does not look at it that way. Which, that's politics.
Yeah, we'll stop right there because that's
stay away from that. But if the president himself will not speak against it, you're going to be stuck in a hard spot because Linda's on the cabinet. If she can't make Trump make him stop, they're going to lose on this. Lose a shitload of money.
I mean, but those when you make those kind of deals, sometimes some pay off, some don't, right?
Yeah, they'll be fine. They've got plenty of money, or even if the Saudi government sues them. But still, I hate to see things like this happen. So, but it's big money, and it's big money in politics and government and solid not solidarity. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Words. It's words that we don't talk about on a wrestling podcast.
Yeah, we stick away from it. We stick in important details. You know what kind of important details? Like, they recorded a live event in Boston.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. They did that little small crew shoot. So they were talking about putting it up on the network later.
Yeah, because we've been talking about this for a while, about this rumored $14.99 tier that they could probably add. And that's to me, I know everybody kind of jokes. I mean, you know, I would actually probably pay this. We talked about this a while back.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, they're talking things like Saturday night's main event coming back, live shows, which is obviously what they did this test run for, to see the indie companies like ICW, Progress. I bet Evolve would probably get involved. Hell, we made a joke about it the last couple of weeks that Impact, that would be a good place for them to go, right? They probably would get a better deal.
Well, you look at Evolve, and they're basically having WB stars come back and work on their shows. You've had quite a few lately, including Velveteen Dream come back to work the Evolve show. So it's like, what's the big deal? You know, they're already practically a program. So I hope something works out. I love the idea we're going to get to see more wrestling, but and more money, man. And you know, the fact that you showed me the link that you sent me about the possibility that you get free shipping on all your WE purchases, get free. Wasn't there a merchandise like a deal coming too? Like
yeah, like you know, they might do like merchandise deals, a rewards program. You could get a like early, you know, like kind of like Ring of Honor does, where you get first dibs on tickets to events.
Yeah.
You get 4 devices instead of 2, which whatever. But I mean, all the above. I mean, like I said, if you order enough shirts, then hell, that's like, you know, it's Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah, it's basically Amazon Prime for wrestling.
Yeah.
You know?
And they're going to include like the other promotions you can watch. I mean, just put them on every night. Basically, you know, boom, every single night of the week, there's going to be a block. We just talked about the block they're doing on Wednesday nights now.
Yeah.
Throw Impact. I always joke about it too. I say, put Impact on Thursday, put like ICW and Progress on Friday night, or no, Smackdown's on Friday night, so it'll have to be like Tuesday night or some shit like that. You can start bringing your Saturday night's main events back, you know, a couple times a year or whatever. Start doing live house shows on the nights that you don't have shows. I mean, dude, you could just basically offer the product and just say like, whenever you want wrestling, you can go to the network and get wrestling.
Yeah, and you get live, new, fresh wrestling, not just the old stuff. Well, I mean, I love the old stuff, don't get me wrong. But you're going to get the ability to get new, current wrestling. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm all down. For $14.99, I'm in, whatever.
Yeah.
But speaking of old and new combining, I know you sat down and you watched it. I did catch some of it, didn't catch the whole thing, of the NWA 70th anniversary show up in Nashville. Yes. I'll let you fire away, man, right out of the gate since you watched the whole thing.
I really enjoyed the show. I got up for seeing the wrestling and the nostalgia feeling. And the fact is, even if it wasn't nostalgic, that final match was phenomenal. It's good to see Camilla Kane come out and get into wrestling again. And such a huge stage for her to be on. Problem is, the production was dog shit. They did cut to people's and there'd be nobody there. Like they'd go to a ringside interview and nobody was there. Okay. They'd go to a video package and then they would play the wrong audio on top of it. It was not, production was horrible. I know it was a live show, but those people should have been okay doing a live show. I mean,
don't do something you can't handle.
Yeah, shouldn't they have had people that could have done it? You know what I'm saying? You think you'd attempt to do a live show without somebody who's done a live show or somebody had like experience? I love the fact that all the former NWA champions in attendance came down to ringside. That was super cool.
That was cool.
And I really thought that was great. But you turn around and nothing else works. It's hard to stay excited for a show when you go through most of the show and things don't work. I love the show. I enjoyed the wrestling. The commentary was killer. It was good hearing from Tony. The new guy, what was his name? Galley?
Joe Galley. Yeah.
Joe Galley.
Good
was
job.
Great. Cornette was impeccable. Even he had some comebacks and some wit and a bunch of things in there. I'd love to see this on a regular basis. They've got the Crockett Cup coming back. This is something that, we could really get a lot more NWA wrestling that we could enjoy. Just fix the problems. I know Billy Corgan can produce something. I'll give you this. It's your first show. I imagine the first WWE live stream was probably difficult too. Okay. So I'll give you this. I'm not going to really go full on it. I'm going to watch your next show. $25 for a decent pay-per-view. Not unfair. Thanks, Billy. I appreciate the fact Billy Corgan is taking this so seriously and working so hard with it. Please fix the problems, and I don't think you're going to have problems luring people in with good wrestling content because you've clearly got that. It was a great match.
Well, they got to step up, right? They got to bring up their game if they're going to be a promotion that's going to make a run. And that's, I'll let you kind of handle that one, cause you're right. You nailed it. That was pretty much everything I had on my notes. I totally agree. Kudos, like I said, I do want to say shout out and much love to Camilla Kane, for making her appearance. We first time we saw her, I was like, dude, she's a star. She's just got to get the opportunity. So, kudos to her.
Anna, been a guest on the show before. It's in the archives. She's also a really nice woman. And very genuine and friendly. So, she's a very likable human being.
It's really cool that we're, people, like you said, that they're really nice people, like her getting an opportunity, Drew Duckworth getting this opportunity, coming up ring on O'Shea Edwards getting an opportunity, all those guys. It's really cool. But speaking of opportunities, man, there seems to be a big one. There's a rumor, how much there's truth to it. I don't know that I buy it, because there was also rumors of, Access TV being involved in this. Now they've come out and said they're absolutely not involved in this. And what we're talking about is there's been this rumors going around that Jim Ross and Chris Jericho are intertwined in this rumored promotion that could possibly be financially backed by Barry Bloom. And if that sounds familiar, if you listen to 83 Weeks at all, you know who Barry Bloom is. Yeah. He's JR and Jericho's agent, but he's been an agent in the wrestling business for a long time. But then the true money comes, for our American listeners, it's, the Jacksonville Jaguars of the NFL owner, Shahid Khan. He's got some money. So I'll go ahead and tell you the money could possibly be there. Yeah. And talking about starting a new wrestling promotion, man, with, there's lots of, smoke, fire, I don't know.
You mentioned Chris Jericho, Jim Ross, and then Barry Bloom, an agent who's used to making talent contracts. And he's also done more than just wrestling, right? He's worked with other professional sports. And a guy with an unlimited bank account. That's a very good thing to start with. Okay? You've got a guy who did talent relations for WCW, who did it for WWE. It's hard to argue with the mix you've got. You've got Chris Jericho, who is arguably the greatest living showman ever. You can't say, well, I'm going to pick a better crew, because that's about as good a crew as you're going to get. I like the idea. I would like to see it happen. Maybe it'll work out. I hope so. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's not just them either. You've got Jericho, supposedly working the New Japan route, Ross working WWE guys. And then the question that I had that really had everybody fired up, after losing the NWA title at the NWA 70th anniversary show, Cody's tweets out, and it basically, he says he's moving into a new role. He's winding down or, running down or something. I'm paraphrasing here. His remaining dates with Ring of Honor, and he's moving into a new role. So everybody jumps in the board. It's like, okay, so are we talking WWE? or are we talking this new promotion? Because you want to talk about, making a big impact right out of the gate. If this promotion did start and they pulled the entire elite,
yeah,
we're talking Kenny, Paige, Bucks, Cody, Skrull, one big swoop, pulling that whole group and putting them on something, man, that would be a hell of a start to a promotion.
It would be really crazy if they all went on a boat ride together and talked about stuff like this for the future.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
They're going on a cruise. They're going to be thinking,
it's kind of a good situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, Don Callis turned on Kenny Omega on a show, hit him with a microphone, had some other people beat him up and said, I'll see you on the cruise. So you've got the biggest, basically the guy behind the turnaround at Impact. You've got the guy that was on the top of the PWI 500. You've got the eternal Chris Jericho. And all these people are going to be in a boat talking about what they can do in the wrestling business. How can it go wrong?
I mean, leave it to Jericho, man. He's always trying to come up with new stuff, right? He's always got his hands into something. I mean, it's, he's in WWE, he's doing music, then he's in, New Japan, then he's at All In, now he's got his cruise, obviously, they're doing. By the way, he's got a new TV show on the Travel Channel. Did you hear about it?
I did hear about that.
Yeah, Hunting Monsters. It's Chris Jericho Hunting Monsters. It's all about, cryptozoology, I think is what it's called. Bigfoot, UFOs, abdominal snowman, all that kind of crap. Lizard people.
Abdominal snowman?
Yeah, the abdominal stretch snowman.
Yes, that was a finishing hole for a guy back in the old Georgia territory.
Yeah. The Yeti.
Yes.
The Yeti. That was his finish. But what's your take on that stuff real quick before we move on?
About what?
I'm just always curious what people think about, Bigfoot and UFOs and that whole thing.
I like reading about it. I don't believe in any of it. I like studying on it, but I don't believe it. I have trouble believing in anything I can't see or touch. So, I mean, yes, I would love to believe that there's something out there interesting and still undiscovered, but...
You have a poster behind you, Myron.
Yeah, I know. I want to believe. I do want to believe. That's the thing. I do want to believe. I just can't really believe. It's a fascinating. I mean, my whole childhood was reading books about Bigfoot and aliens and suspending disbelief, and that's what wrestling is about, is suspending disbelief. To me, wrestling is the ultimate, I want to believe. You got the Bigfoot, and you've got Andre the Giant. You've got all kind of things. So it's as cryptozoological as you can get in wrestling. It's the ultimate science fiction or comic books all rolled up into one right there in front of you in an arena near you.
You've got earthquakes, you've got sharks, you've got yetis, you've got Loch Ness monsters, you've got shockmasters, you've got...
Yes, you got it all right there. Enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling for what it is, and just enjoy going out and seeing it and getting there to the shows. And it's a lot like that. It's a lot like any kind of fantasy world.
Well, I'm a math guy.
Yeah.
And so people always ask me about a lot of things. And, mine is the one that I'm really more adamant about than anything. I don't know that I believe in Loch Ness Monster. I don't know if I believe in Bigfoot. I don't know if I believe all that. But I always tell people, mathematically speaking, which is how I start my sentence, and people usually roll their eyes, there have to be other life forms out there somewhere.
Well, it's the galaxy is far too big to say, no.
Just the universe is too big. There's too many planets. There's too many moons. There's too many, and like I said, everybody goes, oh, so you believe in aliens. I said, well, hold on. Because first of all, if plant life constitutes life, there's at least plant life somewhere else.
Yeah.
Then you get into, okay, if there's plant life there, then typically that means there's, and so you kind of do it in baby steps and say yes. So yes, and I'm not saying it could be a planet a water planet filled with fish. I'm not saying it's people or, intelligent, like walking around, but I think it's pretty self-centered for us to believe that we're the only, planet.
Yeah, and we have to define it based on what life is here, It's like, it has to look like us, or, we can assume it's a bipedal, Homo sapien looking thing. Instead of just assuming it could be a blob or a fish or, something from The Simpsons.
Yeah, it could be anything. I mean, who knows? I mean, for crying out loud. Yeah, I totally agree with you. How we got completely sidetracked on that, I have no idea. But I just really check out the show. Yeah, because I mean, I do.
Could sidetrack anything.
Yeah, I mean, between shows like that and conspiracy theory podcast and all that kind of stuff, I find it humorous, even though I don't necessarily believe in everything. Yeah. Last but not least, we had a record-breaking match at Rise 10.
Yes, 75-minute women's Iron Man match. Longest women's professional wrestling match in history. Mercedes Martinez and Tessa Blanchard, two of the greatest in the sport, head to head, 75 minutes. Kevin Harvey puts out a phenomenal product there at Rise. That was Rise 10. You can download it at riseascent.com, riseascent.com. A great place for phenomenal women's wrestling, because women's wrestling does exist outside of Raw. And SmackDown. It can be on the pay-per-view, but there's a great amount of women's wrestling out there besides in the mainstream WWE product. So go out there and, looking for stuff. Everything I've ever watched of theirs has been phenomenal. They're good people putting on good wrestling, and they're supporting women's wrestling long term. So check these folks out at Rise. They bring a lot of people prior to the Shimmer shows. And they apparently, Kevin and, what's the guy? Jimmy Jacobs announced right at opening, like when the doors opened, that they were going to go for the record, for a women's Iron Man match or Iron Woman match. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
75 minutes is a long time, man. A 30-minute Iron Man match is hard to keep up with, in my opinion. But when you go for 75 minutes, that's insane. How does anybody have that kind of physical conditioning?
Yeah, I don't think there's not much I could do for 75 minutes.
It's hard to do this podcast for 75 minutes sometimes.
We don't do podcasts for 75 minutes anymore. We've even cut those down.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're not familiar with Rise and you want to check it out, like you said, you can check them out, but also go in the archives. Kevin Harvey's been on with you a couple times.
Been on a couple times.
Yeah.
And he has put me in touch with a lot of female talent, super women's wrestlers. He's a really, really great guy that's doing a lot to further the cause of female wrestling in America. And even in Europe. He's worked in England before. He's had a show there. So check out some stuff. You won't be disappointed with their content. I will give you that.
I agree. Other promotion, real quick, we want to give out some shout out, some love to our friends over at Southern Fried Championship Wrestling.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Stay really close listening to the podcast for the next few weeks. Can't let anything out right now, but there's something really that I'm excited about a lot. I mean, it's really going to hit, it's really close to home. It's real personal. So it's going to be super cool. I'm jacked about it. I don't know if I've been this excited about something in a long time.
No, and
it's pretty cool.
It's a good thing with good people. And I could not have been happier to find out about this. So you can't, everybody involved in this, top to bottom, is terrific. So good for wrestling, good for human beings.
Absolutely. So, but before we get out of here, of course, man, if they want to catch you on Twitter, where do they find you at, man?
They will find me at Myron the Mark at TOP. Myron the Mark TOP is the whole thing. But, at Myron the Mark TOP is my Twitter. T.O. Myron Fancher on Facebook. You can get, to us through the Tapped Out website, www.tappedoutpod.com. It's a phenomenal website. Nick has done such a great job with that. Where can I get you, buddy?
Well, man, I'm easy to find. I'm Tapped Out Nick on Twitter, but truth be told, Tapped Out Pod is pretty much where you can find, where I'm going to interact with you mostly. Tapped Out Pod on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, you name it. If you Tapped Out Pod, you're going to find us. That's the website, like you said. I mean, the email's tappedoutpod@gmail.com. So all the above, it's the easiest place to find us. I mean, if you're just Google Tapped Out Pod, boom, you're going to find us. But questions and all that stuff, like you said, DM us, private message us, email us again at tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Find us at Apple, Podcast, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, everywhere you want to look. I mean, we even, have a YouTube channel. If you just can't find us anywhere else, find us on YouTube.
There's a lot of exciting things happening on that YouTube channel we're working on still, folks.
Yeah.
YouTube is the hardest market for wrestling. So we got to find new ways to make them happy.
Yeah. And definitely, like I said, stay on some big things coming. And I'm excited about a lot of changes coming. So, well, man, you got anything else?
One thing I want to say before we leave. I really wish good luck for the people at Lucha Underground. I hope somebody picks them up for season 5. They're losing their spot on Netflix, and that's not good for anybody. That was a big deal for the wrestling business. So hang tight, Lucha Underground. I really hope somebody's going to pick you up. I hope we get a season 5. But that's all I've got.
Well, man, if I got nothing and you got nothing, man, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.